I was always interested in the images of the era that I was born. I was born in '85 and war started '81 to '88, so I was actually born in the middle of the war. And then it really affected my life personally and my whole family and everyone around me. And I was actually living in a neighborhood which was really influenced by the aftermath of war, not in a sense like we were not in a war zone, but we were living in a situation that everyone were participating and going to the war and coming back from the war. Also all the imageries of the war, like posters, pictures, portrait of the martyrs on the walls in the city in Tehran, and also, you know, other sorts of images from the books, from the schools. So we were kind of living in this imagery, and I was always interested to work on this, the creation of these images, people who created those and distributed, and the way people received these images and lived with it. So that's my main source of interest. I interviewed a lot of photographers that I knew who were either war photographers or just professional photographers, Iranians, who kind of have the knowledge of history of photography. In one of the interviews, one of the photographers mentioned the name of the camera that one of the most famous war photographers were using. And it produced really high quality images, so it was the choice for the professional photographers of the time. So I looked for it. I found one in Paris when I started my PhD, in one of the vintage shops of regular camera shops, because there are a lot of camera shops in Paris. It was not easy, so I used the help of a friend who knew a little bit about the old camera, so we found that. And since then I started taking pictures with that camera, because I wanted to learn how it functions, how it works, and I wanted to get a sense of creating pictures with this camera as it was happening, you know, during the war. And it was a good choice for me as a researcher to also understand the feeling of that time and going through the process of developing and printing the images. It was a battlefield for photographers to bring new ideas. So we had, for example, this picture from one of the famous photographers called Bahman Jalali. As you see, it seems like it's not important what is happening in front of the camera. So you don't know if it's where it is. It's not important if it's Iran, Iraq, or anywhere in the world. But what is important is that it's a war, it's the destruction of what war is bringing to people's life. He's focusing on the dark side of the war, which was a challenge and a contestation for the state, because this was not what they wanted to produce. This artist, she is, I think, my age, so not like she lived through the war and aftermath, but she was not, you know, an artist or photographer during the war. And she's reflecting on what war, you know, brought for Iranians and how people are living. So as you see, like these couples are having this wedding, and it's like ordinary life of having happy times. But you don't see them happy, but you also see them in the location of the war, like familiar location. Also a referral to the previous work of Bahman Jalali. There are a lot of women photographers and artists afterward who chose to work on theme of war, and reflect on this topic, which is also interesting because women were influenced really by the war, but then they were never been, in any kind of imagery. So most of the pictures from the war, which were also printed and reprinted and published, women were also excluded. Like even martyrs or women who were in the war and as a nurse, as I don't know, different kind. They were never been in the pictures as just because they were women. It was not allowed to picture them. So now I've decided to kind of include a lot of ideas from feminism and to challenge the previous theories and concepts that studied this world of imagery in Iran. I'm challenging with a lot of feminist ideas, feminism that I studied and I learned through this. This was a really strong decision for me to study on a very masculine-centered, topic, which is war. I don't know, war photography. Normally, women are excluded. All my resources, my informants, everyone were men, and then I just decided that no, I have to change it. It somehow the doors are closed in this era. The doors are closed. Women are not included, and maybe I have to kind of force this, but it's not arbitrary. It's relevant. It's really important. But it was difficult to find a space for it. For me, it's important to show how these pictures were produced and how they were distributed and what was, what was the idea behind them, what was the artistic idea behind them, and how they, these photographers wanted to transfer their ideological ideas through image, and how they wanted to, to visualize a spirituality through the camera, through the use of the camera. So for me, those pictures are the one who I can rely on them to explain this part of the history of photography. But these pictures are important for me because then they developed, they also went far behind the war itself, and they started criticizing the war, criticizing the idea of, war and bringing this, space, or creating this space for people to reflect on their society, on their history. And these are, in this sense, these are important for me.